Hello guys, welcome back to a brand new video. In this video we have another election prediction. This one is a bit of a hypothetical election, but I thought it would still be interesting to do. It is for AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the congresswoman from New York's 14th district, the freshman congresswoman, versus Ivanka Trump, the daughter of the current president, Donald J. Trump. This would be for the 2024 election, either at the end of Donald Trump's term or the end of the first term of a Democratic president. But we're going to do a hypothetical election for the 2024 election. If AOC were to be the Democratic candidate and Ivanka Trump were to be the Republican candidate, so we'll start off by filling out these safe states. I think Washington would be safe, California would be safe, Illinois, New York, Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, D.C., and then Ivanka Trump would win all of the normal Republican states safe, as well as AOC, winning Hawaii. Ivanka Trump would win all of these normal states safe. We'll get to some other states that may be safe later, but all of these states would be safe, as well as Utah. So we have 171 safe electoral votes for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to Ivanka Trump's 125 safe electoral votes. I think from the state of Oregon it would be like you have a lot of Antifa protesters and everything related to that would be there. That would propel her over the top. And I think she would get a likely win there. And you might have noticed I didn't put Rhode Island as a safe margin. If you just look at trends there, you could probably put it at a likely margin for the 2024 election. You just never know. Um, but I'm going to put it as a likely margin for now. From the state of Nevada, I think she would win this by a tilt margin. You have to think, as unpopular as AOC may be in places outside of her own district, Ivanka Trump is not very popular either, and she doesn't have much political experience that she would be able to use to propel herself as a good candidate, probably coming out of a recession by this time in 2024. I'll put Colorado as a lead, and I'll put New Mexico as a likely. Mexico is a good portion of a Native American population that I think would turn out to vote for a candidate like AOC with her socialist policies, and same thing with Colorado. I think the socially liberal part of AOC would attract a lot of voters to Colorado. I think that Ivanka Trump would win the state of Arizona by a tilt margin. Obviously, with the trends, if you had a normal Democrat here, the Democrats would most likely win the state of Arizona by the 2024 election. But with AOC being the candidate, people of Arizona may not like a socialist candidate like her and probably would not vote for her in the state of Arizona, regardless of the trends. Same thing with the state of Texas. I think the state of Texas would stay as a lean margin, as I have predicted it to be from the 2020 election as a lean margin. But in the 2024 election, I predict that would be a lean margin, even due to the trends that Ivanka Trump, as a more classic Republican, maybe would be more popular in the state of Texas for Nebraska's second district. I think I'll just put it as a likely. I don't have much information on the trends or anything, so I'll put that as a likely state. From the state of Iowa, I'll put as a likely state. You just gotta look at the trends and everything. This is an election that's almost over, almost 5 years from now, just under 5 years from now. So you gotta look at the trends and how things will affect that. And I think AOC would not be able to win in a predominantly white state like Iowa. I think that she would win Minnesota by a lead margin. You have people like Ilhan Omar there that were able to get elected, so I think that somebody like AOC would be able to win in this state as well. I think if you're going to go down here, I think you could put Ohio. I didn't want to put it, spoil it before by saying it's a safe margin, but yes, I think it would be a safe margin. It's becoming more like an Indiana in some ways, and that Indiana was becoming more like a Missouri, which was becoming more like an Arkansas and a Kansas, just going back to the days of Bill Clinton and everything. And so I think that from the state of Ohio, Ivanka Trump would win by a safe margin. because of the trends that are going on in Ohio for a 2024 election. And these are just two joke candidates, too, by the way. I don't think either of these people are going to run, especially not Ivanka Trump. But if they did run, this is obviously the prediction for it. Now, going down here, we'll go down to Virginia here. I think AOC would win the state by a tilt margin. The establishment Democrats that are so infamous or famous in Virginia, however you want to look at it, would absolutely hate AOC. They would tear into her socialist policies, which pretty much align with Bernie's, who I think wouldn't be very popular in the state of Virginia either. And even with the trends that's made it more of a blue state solidly with the establishment Democrats that I just talked about, I think that due to the fact that AOC is unpopular amongst those establishment Democrats, AOC would lose the state. Going to the state of North Carolina, I think North Carolina I'm going to put as a lead margin. I don't think they would like either of these candidates. I don't I've looked at it a lot. I can't really tell whether the trends point to it trending more blue or trending more red. It has been a solidly red state with the exception of the 2008 election in which Democrats won, but I don't want to predict too much about it other than that it would be a lean margin. Going on to the state of Georgia, I think AOC would actually be able to flip the state of Georgia by a tilt margin. I don't think they would like a white elite coastal candidate like Ivanka Trump, whereas I think that AOC is a bit more of a different vibe to her due to the fact that she is a woman of color. And there are many people like that in Georgia, and the trends that are trending blue, I think in the suburbs, they might be able to turn out a bit more to vote for her. And before you say, oh, AOC is such a bad candidate, yeah, that may be true, but the state of Georgia has been amazingly trending blue for a number of years now, and I think by 2024 it would have trended blue enough to actually flip into the blue column, regardless of pretty much anyone who the candidate is. By that time, it'll flip to the blue column. Going down to Florida here, I'm going to put it as a tilt margin towards Florida. Florida is a lot closer in elections when it's an open year, when it's not based off of an incumbent president running, then they usually vote for the incumbents. But I think if it was just an open election here, Ivanka Trump will win it by a very close tilt margin. You have a lot of Latino women there that may like her, but may also get turned off by her policies, especially since they align with Che Guevara and Fidel Castro from the communist uprising in Cuba. Not obviously not, but similar. And I think that many people would not like her for that. Going up to the Northeast here, I think that the state of New Hampshire would go to her by a lean margin. I'm not sure what the trends really show here. I think it's still a blue state, and there's room for interpretation on that, but I think it's still a blue state. The first district for Maine, I believe, would go to AOC, whereas I think the second district would go to Ivanka Trump by a tilt margin, and at large, it would go by a lean margin to AOC. AOC is from the Northeast. I think she has a lot of coastal eliteness about her in many ways, although she comes from the working class. She has a very coastal feel about her that isn't in touch with the Midwest as much. And I think because of that reason, AOC would be able to win the areas by a comfortable margin in the Northeast, regardless of trends. Although the state of Rhode Island would be closer than it ever has been in many years before that. And so now we're going to go over to the Rust Belt here. These three states that are going to be very key and vital in the 2020 election will be just as key and vital in the 2024 election. And these will decide here because right now we have AOC at 248 electoral votes to Ivanka Trump's 244 electoral votes. Going to the state of Wisconsin here, I think that Ivanka Trump would win this state likely. I think that she would also win the state of Pennsylvania lean. We'll get to Michigan in a second, but this would put Ivanka Trump at 274 electoral votes to AOC's 248 electoral votes. These states, I think, are obviously part of the Rust Belt, have a lot of working class to them. I think that they would get turned off by AOC as a coastal candidate. Democrats haven't been able to win with those candidates. They won with Obama, who was from Illinois. They won from Bill Clinton, who was from Arkansas. They won with Jimmy Carter, who was from the South, and so on, so on. It keeps going. with their exceptions, obviously, but I don't think that a candidate, especially like AOC, who is Latina from the New York City area, the coastal area, don't think that AOC would be able to win in states like this, especially with the trends and everything. It's trended very red from when Obama first won these states. I think that they would turn red. And I think that AOC would actually win Michigan tilt. Michigan is just a different state to Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. It is a bluer state than Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. It barely uh, flipped red to Donald Trump in the 2016 election. 2020 election, I would say it's more likely to go to a Democrat than not. In the 2024 election, I believe that it would, by a tilt margin, maintain with AOC against Ivanka Trump. So that puts the total number of electoral votes for Ivanka Trump at 274 to AOC at 264. This would make Ivanka Trump the 47th, maybe even 48th president of the United States. This would be a very interesting election, and obviously it is just hypothetical. AOC may not even be able to run by the time of this election, but it would be very interesting to see. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. It was just a fun video I made. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys later.